This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Nate. Here's another OMFL production.
Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, as always, the commish, the founder, the guru, Kinda Real Nate, and I've got one of my buddies with us tonight, Mr. D. Wayne, who's just scraping some oil out of the crack of his butt from work and got himself at home ready to do some Press Pass Live. Man, how you doing?
I'm good. I have my first glass of an alcoholic beverage tonight, so it's getting
Nope. Tell the truth. What are you sipping on?
wine, not gin tonight.
Wine. My boy went with wine. That's what he decided was the drink of choice tonight. I can't hate it. Are you a white or a red?
I'm honestly not as picky as my girlfriend is. She has both. So whichever one she had open, I actually just poured into a cup and ran into my office.
Well, that's the way to do it. Yeah, I moved around like 4 different spots in my house, and this is kind of the best one that I could find with us doing this in the kind of the middle of the evening here. But it's going to be a good show, and we're going to start it off with a bang. We're going to welcome in well, before I get started, let me first just say the YouTube channel is up. The chat is live, so you guys can chat with us and interact with us today. So feel free to be chatting it up in there because we're going to have it on here and we'll be able to interact with you. But we've got one of our good friends here with us today, the commish from the TFL, Mr. Bloop. How you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I just got my butt whooped by Maniac in OMFL 2, so I'm ready to talk about something else.
Oh, so that's why Maniac couldn't be here.
Uh-oh.
He's too busy whipping up on people to take time to be on Press Pass Live. That's okay. We'll give Maniac a pass. A couple of months ago, it's probably been almost a year now, I decided to not only continue to grow the grown folks community to other games, but a couple years ago, we were lucky enough to add the NBC, and I've been really blessed enough to get to know Pootie T, the commissioner over there, and he's been a really close friend. And we got connected with Mr. Bloop here at the TFL, and then even right after him, the PFFL? I don't know, all kinds of P's and F's and L's in some of these other leagues that are here. And then, of course, Gridiron Football. I think I got that wrong. I don't know. My brain's going all whacked out. It's late on a Saturday afternoon here. But, Mr. Bloop, tell everybody about the TFL. Where did it start? How did it get here? Tell us about what created the TFL to be what it is.
Sure. So about 7 years ago, we were all on Operation Sports running out of a league called SOS Crew, which at the time was probably, I would say, maybe the second biggest league on Operation Sports, which is obviously pretty awesome. So played through that for 6 years or whatever, and we kind of innovated the things that our league did, and we got a pretty big following. And so last year, our commissions decided to take off. And so I took over the league, rebranded as TFL after kind of hovering around Discord and playing by ourselves or whatever. We joined up with you guys. And so now we're kind of resetting ourselves on the Grown Folks website. We're bringing in new players and stuff. We're getting ready for Madden 20 now at this point. But we basically were the old SOS crew from Operation Sports, and we're rebranding ourselves here on your guys' website now, which has been pretty awesome for us so far for the last year that we joined.
Well, tell us some of the things that make the TFL so unique. What are some of those innovative things that you guys have created that just kind of gives the TFL its own spin on the CFM?
Sure, yeah. So the way this started out was when SOS Crew started, we started in December, so we were way behind all the other leagues. So obviously the commissioners at the time needed something to kind of attract members. And so they started this, they went with the simulate the first season thing. And it was such a big hit because everyone got to draft their own rookies right off the start. Um, and you could kind of like rebuild your team if you like. That was 2013 or 2012. So like the Raiders were a terrible team. So the guy that was the Raiders got to rebuild his team really quick. So that became a big hit. And so we've kept that sim season thing. We simulate our every 2 seasons of our league, or every second season, I should say. And it kind of just gives people more of a chance to add in their GM skills into building up their team and stuff. It's been really popular over the years. Like we do other things, like we're a full no switch league. We're pretty similar to the OMFL FPR rules. We got a couple variations on it, but for the most part, we're pretty similar to that. And then since I took over, because there was a couple things that we toyed with back in the SOS days, but they didn't work out. But when I took over TFL, I implemented a contract rule where you can only sign your players during the last stage of like the re-sign stage during the season. So since we kind of limit our trades during the season compared to other leagues, we don't really allow first round picks to be moved and players for players rarely happen. But so I came up with this contract idea, which has been pretty popular as well since we started. It allows more guys to hit free agency, kind of, in my mind, is realistic, and you get less people. You can't really negotiate your contracts or whatever. You got to either take what the guy wants or he goes to the open market. And it's been really popular too. So that's kind of like, we do a couple other things. We always toy with stuff, try to always continually innovate, but those are like the main two things that separate us from everyone else.
Talk about the sim season. Talk about the nuts and bolts. Like, how do you guys do that? Is it back to back off seasons, back to back drafts? Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it's back to back off seasons and drafts and whatever. This year we didn't. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. We didn't play our playoffs, but usually we do play the sim season playoffs. So like, if you build a great team and you make the playoffs, you got a chance to do something. So we simulate the whole season. Injuries are off, so because we one time originally we didn't have injuries off, and like Patrick Willis got like a injury that ended his career basically. It was like 3 seasons and he was already pretty old. So we decided to do injuries off. So you play playoffs, then you do the draft, or you go into the offseason, do the draft, then um, so that's like the sim season, and that's follows right after the actual season. So yeah, it's like basically within 2 weeks you get through two seasons of the CFM, and it just kind of advances things quicker than you normally get.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you guys here. Dwayne, please feel free to jump in after this next question. But tell us a little bit about Madden 19. I know it's been kind of rough across the board for a lot of different leagues, but how's it been for the TFL? What are the likes, the dislikes? What's Madden 19 been like?
Well, for us, it started out great. Like, I think with the way our rules are structured, and we have no like the fully no switch thing, so you can't even switch when the ball's on the ground or whatever. So that really opens up our playbooks to being like there's more inside runs and stuff. And so just our rules itself made Madden 19 at the start very, very fun. I thought we were like, everyone was pretty stoked to play and whatever. But ever since that the glitch where the guy was falling forward, it's really fallen downhill. Guys are kind of losing interest. Like we're pretty much done for this year already, like I think I mentioned. um Guys have lost interest, but the game itself was pretty good to start. I just, ever since that falling forward bug, I just feel like the game's felt different. There's a face max problem now, and receivers are like, I don't know. For me personally, like I find like when you play a game, like one team's running uphill the entire time. Like it's never I've barely had a straight up game in like the last like month and a half of playing the game. Like there's no back and forth. It's just one team destroying the other team, and that's about it. but it's been pretty. It started out great, and it always starts out great. So I'm a person that I really like Madden myself. I understand that lots of people have frustrations with it, but it's the only CFM that we get in any sports game at all, really, except for NBA now. So I don't really complain as much as some people would. What do you guys think this year?
I was trying to be quiet, give Dwayne a chance to hop in there, but he's still
Sorry,
trying to fix
my cats are overwhelming me right now.
it.
They've been inside all day, and Jana's she's on at a margarita festival in Little Rock tonight.
That sounds
So
like a
just
really
me.
great festival. I can support that idea.
I hope she comes back in
Yeah.
one piece.
Look, Madden 19 has had its ups and downs. That's for sure. It's been, look, we're a year-round league. We never take a break. We never pause. Just that's a personal decision. I find it really difficult to start back up whenever you do take a break or pause for the next Madden, and so we try to keep it going as much as we can. The summer's always tough, no matter, even if it's the greatest Madden ever, just because it's bright and it's sunny and it's warm and people go on vacations. But we always find a way to get through it pretty well and survive pretty well. And so this Madden, I think the struggles have been around like everyone struggles. The gameplay, people get pretty frustrated. I think I've lost the most board members this year. They haven't quit the league, but they've definitely quit the board just because they're so frustrated with the game. They just want to play their games, and that's been tough. We lost a co-host on the show that was a pretty large member of this community. He's still in the community, but not in Madden anymore because, again, his frustrations of the game boiled over to where he just couldn't take it anymore. And honestly, I've got 2 or 3 on the cusp that I think it will be shocking if they make it through the summer. We're at the end of season 84, which is our 5th season of this Madden. I think we'll finish this season and definitely one more, and then probably have a couple week break before the new Madden drops. That should get us through the middle or right towards the end of July and give guys a couple week break there before we kick back off. Dwayne, what you got for our buddy Bloop here?
I was going to ask him, what do you think? I've seen quite a bit of talk about the, Madden 20. I know we're talking about Madden 19, but I've just seen quite a bit of talk on this Madden 20 talk, and these new features they're supposed to bring, and I'm just kind of intrigued if it's from your point of view, is it more flash than produce what they're trying to come up with? Because that's what a lot of it seems like. They throw a lot of, and they did that before, throw a lot of flash out, and then stuff seems to get worse rather than better, especially when it comes to CFM side of it. And I was just kind of wanting your opinion on that because I've seen you talk about it quite a bit, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so I know personally, like I haven't read anything. I just go off like my co-commissioners. They all read that stuff and they all talk about it and stuff. So I just kind of go off what they say because I like to, with every game, I just like to kind of not pay attention to all their promises. I just like to take the game for what it is and make it work. So I kind of subvert my expectations. But from what I've seen, you know, it doesn't make sense to a couple of things that they're adding for CFM. Like there's Superstar and X Factor developments are going to be hidden, but their regular players aren't going to be. I don't really understand it. It seems weird. For the most part, though, from what I've seen, like lots of their franchise stuff seems to be going towards like a single player base franchise, kind of like a Road to the Show kind of thing, probably where they're expecting people to hook up to that. So I don't know. Like I say, I haven't seen a whole lot of it myself. I'm just hoping that they don't mess it up too bad because I actually kind of like the actual franchise stuff they introduced this year. It's just the gameplay that's been bothering me.
Well, that's what the big thing this year was the way the XP was built, the way the players, how you use it on them. And I know
Yeah.
we've kind of, we talked about in the past, especially in the OMFL, especially you get those points, you just spin them wherever you want. And we ran into a certain team. I'm not even going to try to hide it. We all talk about Mo's team. His whole defensive line wasn't innate. They had 99 block shed.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I think he had 4 or 5 cornerbacks that were 95 plus man. And he just built a godly league. I mean, it was crazy. I did like the way they did this year. It's a lot more random. Now it can be really frustrating like this. I do know some guys that I had built up, and every time we got a roll, they got really useless attributes. At least that's what I thought. I was kind of hoping to kind of build on that.
Yeah.
there's a couple things I think that I wish they would add at least commissioner tools. We've ran into a couple times where we really could have used them. Um, but I guess I'm kind of like you. As long as they don't mess anything up, I'm all
Yeah,
right with whatever they come out with. And like I said, this year to me has been a good year. Other than like I said, when that fall forward patch came out, it was really frustrating, especially for somebody who likes to run. It made
yeah,
everybody a running team, so it kind
yeah.
of took away my little strength I had against people. Uh, I do think it's been a weird year, like Nate said. We lost a lot of board members, which I guess staying in the community was a good thing. But I want to say there's only two of us, maybe three, Nate, am I right, that have started this year as board members that are still board members. I know two. I know me and Nate, and I want to say Maniac and Colin.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think there's
Me,
three
you,
of
Colin,
us.
and Maniac.
Yeah, Maniac's kind of been a little off and on. Kevin's new, and then me, you, and Colin have been there for the longest.
So, so it's been a kind of a turmoil year when it comes to that, and I attribute a lot of that to the game. I think a lot of frustrations boiled over from gameplay into board into FPR, and it's a lot to hassle. On your side, how do your board members and your guys how do they handle that in their in y'all's league over there?
Well, that's actually a funny question now that I think about it. When we came over to Grown Folks at the start of late August last year, of my board members, only one remains, and he was the guy I added just because he got us here. That was Cooley, who got us connected to Nate and you guys, and got us all moved over and stuff. But he's the only commish. Well, I guess Mace is still there, but he's kind of off and on too. Everyone else on my board has been replaced since then. I didn't even really think about it, but I thought it was because we were transitioning or whatever. But it could be because of the gameplay. Like lots of these guys did get tired of the game. So, um, so what was that?
No, I want to ask Nate. Was it Madden 17 when I first? Was Madden 17 when I joined? When we had this complete turnover, almost the league almost didn't. I ain't gonna say almost folded, but we went through probably the most turmoil.
It might have been Madden 16 because I think you've been
Madden
here for a couple
16.
of years.
When we pretty much came to a standstill. I remember Nate gave the league of with league of address, league state of league of address. I don't know how you worded it.
Yeah,
It
that
was,
might
it
have
was
been 17.
I think it
17 was the roughest game for me. 17 almost made me hang it up for good.
I want to say halfway through the season, everybody quit on the board except for you and honestly, I don't know who was left because I know that's the one you had the influx of me, Houday, and Dawson kind of came into the picture. And I ain't lie to you, at that moment, I didn't know if OMFL or Grown Folks was going to make it. I don't know if Nate felt the same way, but it got really eerie there for a little bit. But we turned it around. Like I said, it turned it around, and that's why I feel like even with this, we've kind of had rough patches this Madden. I don't think it hasn't been as bad as it was for that little period right there. Um, and I can't speak for the TFL's board group, but we do have a real strong core here. And I think
Yeah.
even if they do screw off Madden 20, I think you have a really good core guys. I know we have a really good about 20 guys, maybe give or take a few that have been here for a couple Maddens. And I'm just kind of interested in how Madden 20 is going to come out. I know Madden 19 was really built up kind of high, really let people down in a lot of aspects. I think it's still been a good year for Madden. I think it's been a good year for our league. We've had the most diversity in our league, as in champions and winners. I think Nate can attest to that. After two Maddens of Mo, Cincy, Ducks, and me winning, he's glad to see somebody else win. So,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm just rambling now.
No, I was gonna say like, I think that's the big thing that I noticed with ourselves is when our league kind of fell apart from the SOS days there, like we've gone through, I guess probably if I count them, probably 12 different board members. But the guys that are dedicated to the league, they're the guys that are on my board now, and they're the guys that are here to kind of see us through this. So I feel like kind of similar to what you said about you guys in 17. We're kind of in that moment where we were close to folding, and now we got our strong core. Like I know you joined the league or whatever, but you see like lots of these guys in my league have been around for a long time. We know
Right.
each other really well, right? So like I think we're probably around 20 guys that are we've been playing, like 20 guys that have been in the league for like 6 years or something like that. So I don't think like we were in that point, but I think we've got past it now. So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, like as far as as far as 19 goes, I thought it was a good year too. Like myself, I started out really strong this year, and I kind of got lazy with my team building strategies. Just didn't quite add all the guys I wanted, and my team fell off the like completely fell apart. So I feel like this year compared to other years, it was very important to be like, as far as like being able to bring your team back from like the dead or whatever, which is awesome. Like any CFM that has that aspect in is pretty much going to be funner for everyone. So I really like that part of it because we had lots of different. I don't think we got a two-time Super Bowl champ. We don't have. We have one guy that's been in 2 Super Bowl games. That's Cooley, and no one else has made 2 Super Bowls. So it's kind of fun to have everyone kind of pass the buck as far as that goes.
Yeah, Madden 19 definitely has had its really great areas that have made it really, really strong. I think there's still some gameplay issues that we'd all like to see fixed. I also don't know that we're going to see them fixed. I think that the video that came out several months ago now, or weeks ago, I should say, that just kind of talked about the engine and
Yeah.
why we have kind of gotten where we get. That's not going away, right? That's not going to change. And so I think there's always, like, the engine isn't created for this type of game, and they're forced to try to make it work, and it's really made some things really complicated. So I think this is just it. This is where we're at, and this is going to be the Madden that we get. And the other things that they put on top of it are going to be to try to cover some of that stuff up, because I don't know if they'll ever be able to fix all of that stuff, and we can only hope that they'll just keep chipping away and keep trying to make it as good as they can. I did watch the video that came out last Thursday. I'm gonna try to watch those I think they go live every Thursday evening at, I think it was a 6 Pacific or maybe 4 Pacific, 6 Central, 7 East, something like that. Because they did have some really neat news. There's some neat stuff about the Pro Bowl that I think is going to be super engaging. There's some really neat stuff around ratings and the overall being overhauled. And so I don't know. There's some promising signs, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to gameplay. And I just don't think we're going to see that drastically different of gameplay, because this is the hand that they've been dealt and the platform that they're working off of. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see exactly what they do with it. But I think what we see is what we see. Quick shout out to Ducks and Smash. Thank you guys for being here. Kevin, he's listening on his way to work. We asked him to come special co-host with us tonight, and he wasn't able to do that. But Duck said he's representing Mo. Mo's out of the country, so he's here. It's good to have you guys, so thanks for tuning in. All right, last couple of things, Bloop. What should we expect from the TFL when we get to Madden 20?
Well, like I said, we like to innovate, and when we came over here, I saw what the OMFL does, and man, like I say, like I've told you many times, and I've told like the league many times, I think lots of what you guys do is great, like with doing your own Pro Bowl and doing activity incentives and stuff like that. So that's what we're working on for Madden 20. We got a incentive program coming out. Um, I'm going through exactly what we're putting on, like in these next couple weeks. So look for that on our Twitter page. But yeah, we're trying to. I want to say we're um, looking for like a pretty big expansion, but we don't want to expand. We just need to get guys to be more committed. So we got our incentive program coming. I want to do a Pro Bowl like you guys do, like that. I think that's like one of the best ideas, because we all know, anyone that plays the CFM knows that like the Pro Bowl and the award system in Madden is ridiculous, and so I think what you guys do is pretty awesome. So we're gonna kind of emulate that. I'm gonna try to come up with another one of my own ideas, but I'm not quite sure what that is. I got 3 months to think about it. Yeah, we got. I think we got. I was talking to Nate. We got a bunch of guys coming in, and I think I got 38 guys lined up, possibly already for next year. So we're gonna weed through that, take a look at what's going on, and get people in. So I'm pretty excited to have a full league once again, because we never quite got there this year. We kept getting to 27, and that was where we stalled out this year. But now we're looking up, and so Madden 20. I don't know. We're pretty excited, I think, as a league to be going on. We're gonna try to get more stuff on your guys' YouTube page here for grown folks, and more content on the website, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's the part that excites me the most. I love what I see from you as a leader and just kind of your leadership group. We've gotten to know Cooley a lot with PUBG and of course, being in the OMFL as a second league from him. Um, I'm always a little, and I think I've told you this, I'm always a little nervous when the OMFL becomes someone's second league and not their primary, just because when things get tight, the primary takes over. And the OMFL is my baby. It's been around for almost 20 years now, and so. But he's been great, and I know that you've been itching for a spot up here. And look, yeah, we'll talk about it on our show today. But they're definitely. I would be surprised if there's no spots that come open, and I know that you're on that short list to get offered a spot. But as kind of the leader of the community as a whole, one of the things that I really would like to see from all the leagues out there, and you're one of the more engaged commissioners. Pootie T's super engaged. I mean, hell, I love Chaotix, but you guys are more engaged than even he is. I just want to see more activity from the other guys that play Madden here. We have a lot of activity. Unfortunately, we had to shut down our wrestling league because the activity just kind of went away. But the PUBG is really strong. I'm going to really try to bring FIFA back next year. If I don't bring the wrestling back, I just can't kind of run it all. But the golf has a lot of engagement, and so I'd really would just like to see the other leagues here get engaged. We got the TFL and the NBC are two or more engaging leagues that we have here, but we also have Around the Gridiron. That's the league I was trying to think of a while ago, and then Pure Football League and Pure Fantasy or Pure Football League Fantasy. Really don't hear a lot from any of those guys, whether it's their commissioners, whether it's their owners. Really don't get anything from any of their owners as far as content. The OMFL too will post some content from time to time, but that's really what I'm looking for as a community wide. I'd love to see the content. If people just put out half the content that the OMFL does from every league, I mean, we'd have so much content that a Madden lover or just a sports gamer that plays on PlayStation would definitely find that this would be the place to be. And that's really where I hope we can take it in the next level. But look, man, we're honored to have you guys as part of our community, and anything that we can ever offer to help. What our home is your home, and we're super excited to see what the TFL comes up with for Madden 20, and we're looking forward to getting here. And let's go ahead and have a fresh start in August.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I was really appreciate you guys getting me on. I know we've been working on this for some time, and I've faked out some of my Twitter followers on it, but I'm glad we got it. Glad we got it going on, and I appreciate all the OMFL guys. Like a lot of the only reason we even got to this point was OMFL guys helping us out. We had lots of support. Like obviously from Outlaw, D-Wayne came and played with us for a bit, Big Hurt, and all these other guys. So we really appreciate what you guys did for us this year, and especially like giving us a website and stuff. Like we wouldn't exist. Like I was trying to make my own website, but when Cooley's like, "Oh, well, we could just go to Grown Folks." So really, honestly, you guys allowing us in your community saved our league, and we're hoping to kind of repay you with all our content stuff coming out next year. So I want to say thank you for having me on, and good luck going forward, guys.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate being here. Before you get out of here, tell people where they can go and follow you on Twitter, on Twitch, on anything else you want to tell us.
Sure. Let me just remember my Twitter handle here.
Yeah, I couldn't remember it either, so I was like, I'm going to put him on the spot. I know it was like Bloop, and then there's some numbers in there that I could not remember. While you're looking it up, Ducks, no, I think you should go ahead and stay retired. It's not NCAA, and so, you'll just end up quitting on me anyway, and so just go ahead and stay retired. Nobody wants you to come win championships here anyway. Maniac, stop feeding the animal over there, too. Bloop, tell people where they can find you, buddy.
Sure. My handle is at Bloop33, BLOOP, then the number 33. Our league handle is TFL _Madden CFM. I try to keep everyone updated there. I haven't been too active this year, but mostly that's because the league hasn't been too active. But we're going to try to pump out more stuff there, especially, like I say, when we get our incentive program going. And then my Twitch is twitchtv.com/Bloop_33. I stream all the time on my offline games. I play lots of franchise modes offline, so I pretty much active every evening. I don't get to stream too much Madden though, unfortunately. But yeah, so if you guys give me a follow there and contact me or whatever, we can get you in the league if you're interested, or just talk or have fun.
Go give our buddy a follow, give him a subscribe on his Twitch, and you can find all the information about the TFL on the grownfolksoc.com website. He'll have his own page there for TFL, and if you hit the Join Us button, you'll actually see all the leagues and just a slight blurb about their rules and about their settings, so you can pick the exact league. Bloop, thanks again for taking some time on a Saturday night to be with us, buddy.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well, there you have it, our buddy Bloop. And now it's time to jump in and talk some OMFL. We are in week number 15, and the playoffs are here, and they're heating up, and we're trying to find out who's in and who's not. But before we get there, let's talk about the last couple of weeks. So, Mr. D. Wayne, we're going to put you on the spot. Week 12, 13, or 14. Pick your favorite game. Tell me which one it is, and let's talk about it.
Well, the game I picked, I can't recall what I've already clicked on the game, so I can't remember what week it was, but it's going to be your game. It's going to be the Saints versus the Bengals. I'm almost certain. I believe this was a user versus user game, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it? This wasn't a CPU game.
No, I played
Saints
this
came
one.
in here.
Come on, you can't. I don't get many good wins. Don't take them away from me now.
Saints won this game 31-25. Saints put themselves in a position to get a wild card. We know that the Falcons are kind of in control of the division right now. So the Saints is always tough in that division, especially if you got, I think he's 12-1 or something like that. It's really tough. Nothing like a 10-14 fighting for their life in a wild card. Get a win against the Bengals, who are trying to survive in the AFC North. Man, they play in a tough division. I think everybody's playing good in that division this year. If you go through some of the stats, like I said, this was a really, really close game. The Bengals actually outgained the Saints this game. They had 259 yards passed, 145 yards rushing, compared to 244 and 70 for the Saints. Offensive red zone was a big thing. They scored 100% of the time in the red zone for the Saints, only 75% for the Bengals. That speaks volumes. You got to score points in the red zone. Third down percentage was even, 50-50. Everything else, like I said, you could tell this is a close game. The only advantage really you can give the Saints here is they had 3 sacks compared to 1 for the Bengals. If you go through here, Goff had a solid game, 75% passing, 250 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Kamara, the running game was really stuffed for the Saints. I might get you to talk about that a little bit. Kamara and Hakeem had, I think, 58 yards combined on 22 carries. You go down, he had a really balanced pass in the game. Smith, Fitzgerald. I can never pronounce your other tight end's name. He must be a New Orleans or a Cajun name.
No, I have no clue where he's from, and I can't say it either.
Had a really balanced attack, and I ain't gonna lie to you, I think guys really discredit how well that, how much that throws the defense off when you're that balanced. You go defensively, Hendrickson had 2 sacks, Davenport had a sack, Jamerson, lead safety guy, if I'm not mistaken, had a pick. You go over to the Bengals side, Mariota, very efficient, 13 for 17, 280, a touchdown, a pick. White, Connor, Mariota, Nemo, all of them had yards running the ball, ran the ball real well, which is kind of deceiving. You would think him running the ball that well might equal out a win here. Ross and Thomas lead the way, with Harrell getting a 45-yard catch. You go through there, Davison had a sack, who used to be on my team, by the way, and Griffin had an interception. This game looks like it. I watched part of this game, if I'm not mistaken. I remember watching part of this game because I have to keep my eyes on the Bengals, with them being on my side over there and, fighting them every season. This is a big win for the Saints. They needed to win like this. Nate knows as much as anybody that division, or that NFC. Let me click over to it real fast. They're fighting. I think they're 2 games up on the next guy in the for the wild card. I think 10-4. I think the 49ers, Seahawks are behind them by 2 games. Every win counts. I think if he gets another win, he's a lock, if I'm not mistaken, for that wild card. And the Bengals are fighting for their life over there. Their whole division's been beastly this year. I think everybody's within 2.5 games of each other right now. So that was a big loss for them, but a real big win for the Saints. And if you want to talk about that a little bit, Nate, and tell me how that game went.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you weren't finished. It was a really tight game. It was a lot of back and forth. Jamerson had a really big pick on a deep bomb that I was able to recover and make up some ground and get an interception. It was just a really good back and forth game. Look, since he gets a really bad rap by some people here, he really has changed his gameplay over the past, 4 seasons or so, and plays so dramatically different. Look, I know that the knock on him recently has been when it gets tight and things get close, he kind of leans back on his old habits. He didn't here, right? Like, since he's always a little bit been known for his post routes, right? Like, that's just what he's been known for, his speed post routes, but he didn't really lean on that. He mixed it up really well. He had a good running game. His defense really did shut down my running game. There just wasn't a whole lot of opportunities to find good running games there. And it was just really, really tough. It was a really tough game. I like playing Cincyberg. It's a great measuring stick to see kind of where I am, where I'm not. And it was good. It was just a really good back and forth game that I really enjoyed. So props to him for giving me a really good battle. It's funny that you picked that game because I was actually I'm not going to now. I'm going to change because I'm not going to talk about my team back to back. But the Saints and 49ers in Week 14, that's going to go in the Instant Classic Game of the Year category. We have a thread here in the OMFL that has, about 100 or so really close, tight games that have happened over the years. I think from season 74 on, we have some really great clips in there. And so anytime somebody plays in what we would consider an instant classic game, we ask that they submit it, and we have a whole running thread full of instant classic games that have just been really, really good. Well, Saints and 49ers played down to 26-25. Saints come away with a victory, and that came down to where I had to freeze his kicker. He had an easy, well, not an easy, like a 35-yarder with 12-mile-an-hour winds, but I froze the kicker, so he kind of had that weird view, and then the meter disappears at the end. He hated it. I get it. I've been on the other side of that. I hate him too when it happens to me, but at the same time, I think it is a very unique item that Madden has added to the game that just adds that next element. You can never just think that the game is over. There were a couple games that I was going to pick from, but like you, often I'm not 100% sure which of these games are played and which were not played. Most of our games here are played, but every now and then you'll pick one and you'll be like, oh, wait, that game actually wasn't played. There was definitely a game in Week 14. I'm not quite sure if it was played or not. Let me get over to it. I know that the Seahawks game is really good, but I'm pretty sure that game was not played. But the Vikings and Bears, here it is, played to an epic battle here. 42-37, Minnesota comes away with the victory. I think this game was played because the stats don't look all that crazy. Usually if the game is simmed, we'll see some pretty crazy stats. And
Right.
look, the Vikings Tim's been really quiet this entire season. I know that he's been going through a lot in real life with work, and he's been talking about that in chat. And I guess that's why he's been really quiet, but I know he's also been trying to figure some things out with his team here. But Weston just had a really great game here. 3 touchdowns, 267 yards on 13-17 passing, but he did throw 3 picks. Cook had 13 carries for 62 with 2 touchdowns. On the other side of the ball, both the quarterback and the running back played really well. Watts was 22 of 27, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, but the 2 big interceptions. But look at Howard here, 18 carries, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns with a long of 75. So he had a tremendous game. Shannon, I think that's how you say it. Probably not. Shahean. 4 receptions, 111 yards, a touchdown with a long of 71. So you see 2 big plays there with Howard with a long of 75, Shannon with a long catch of 71. Beckham Jr. on the other side, 7 for 226, 2 touchdowns and 60, a long of 60. So he had a big play. Look, I've gotten some feedback about him spamming Beckham. We've crossed this bridge before. Look, I don't want guys to spam one receiver all game long, but as long as the other receivers have catches, you can see Beckham had 7, Cooks had 2, I don't love that. Diggs had 3, though. Freeman had 1. So he did try to spread it around a little bit. But as long as those catch numbers aren't crazy, as long as we're not seeing 15 to 20 catches a game. Look, he's a receiver. He's running routes. And if he's beating your cornerback, then I expect him to throw him to him. As long as he's not spamming the same route, the same play over and over and doing something like, no catches for anyone else but 20 catches for a receiver. Like, that's just craziness. As long as they're keeping it reasonable, and I feel like that was pretty reasonable, just a great game from him. I'm not going to get on an owner for quote-unquote spamming. You can see here, Hayward Jr. had 2 interceptions on the day there for Minnesota. Collier on the other side had 2 interceptions for the Bears, and just a back-and-forth offensive explosion that looked like it was set up by all of the turnovers that happened in this game. 5 interceptions in total from both of the quarterbacks. The Bears have fallen mightily since winning this division a couple years in a row. They're 2-11. And the Vikings, this gives them a little glimmer of hope as they fall or get to 5-8. Not the season that they had hoped for, especially, again, if you remember, he comes over from Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee. And that was a playoff team every single year. And so he's had a hard time kind of figuring out exactly what that's going to look like, how that team looks like, what that team looks like. But this would look like it was one of those just really, really good games. And Pepper, don't even think about the Saints losing out. I don't think that's going to happen. I definitely don't think the Saints, 49ers, and Seahawks are going to lose out. That's wishing on a whole lot of stuff right there. But I know that Pepper knows that. Let's jump into it now. Let's talk about what we're here to talk about, and that's the playoffs, man. We're going to do a little section that we call In or Out, and I want you to tell me who you think's going to be in, who do you think's going to be out. We're going to start over here in the AFC. Now, you can't spend 5 minutes on every team, but we're going to go team by team here. Tell me in and out and kind of why you're thinking that way. Let's start it off with a team that you actually picked as your game of the week, the Bengals. They're sitting at 9-4 right now, currently holding the number 4 seed as their division winner. Do you think they're in or are they out?
I think they're in. I think they win that division for one. Like I said, they got Dolphins, Steelers, and Titans on the way out. Man, it's 3 really tough games. But you got to ride the horse that got you there. And the Bengals, man, are there every year. They're going to be in the playoffs no matter what, but I'm also picking them to win that division. Just since he just brings experience, he brings firepower, and he's a smart player. He's somebody that is going to be in the playoffs this year.
All right, let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're sitting at the 5th seed. They're 8-5. Brady has really tried to work that team back into contention this year. 8-5 Jaguars. Are they in or are they out?
I'm actually picking the Jaguars to be a wild card team. I do think they do have a tough road out. He's going to lose to me this week. No, I'm playing Brady. I'm playing.
When are you guys set up to play?
I want to say we're set up tomorrow night. I know he's with his AAU team right now. He said he'd be available real late tonight, and so we're probably going to play tomorrow night.
Well, we're gonna
the Raiders.
We're gonna try our best to go ahead and stream that one if I can, as long as it fits. I'll do my best to stream that one and do some commentary because that will be a pretty classic game between the number 1 seeded Colts and the number 5 seeded Jacksonville Jaguars. So go ahead, finish your thoughts on the Jags.
2 really ugly running teams you're going to watch. The Raiders and Chargers on their schedule, both really great owners, but I do think he takes control here and wins. I think he wins at least 2. I'm not going to say I'm going to beat him, but I think he wins 2 out of those last 3 games and gets into the playoffs as a wild card team. I can keep going on this list if you want me to go down this list.
Well, let's go ahead and let's go the Baltimore Ravens. They're the number 6 seed right now. They're at 8-5. Are they in or out in your opinion?
They are my second wild card team. I think that they will push the Bengals for that division. That division has beat up each other all year, but he brings something to the table. And I will say this with him, they had a game last night. Bengals won that game. It's a big win, gets a game separation on them, and gives Bengals are 3-2 in the division with 2-2 with the Ravens. I think he gives a wild card team. He's ran the ball really, really well. He has one of the best defenses in the league. I have him in there right now. I don't think anybody. I think it's between there's 2 or 3 teams that really are realistically still open for the wild card. I'm just gonna ride with the Ravens, man. He's played really good. He's came a long way. He's built that team up. I think he's my second wild card team in the AFC.
All right, let's go to the next one. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're currently at 7-6 as the number 7 seed, looking from the outside in. Do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers? You kind of giving it away a little bit, but do you think they're in or out?
I do think they are out. I think that they are right there in the nick of things in the North. As you can see, they're 2 games out of first place, a game behind the Ravens for second. I just think it's too much. I can't remember. I had to pull up the schedule real quick. I do think that the Ravens and Bengals will come out of this division. I wouldn't be surprised to see him because he plays the Bengals and the Ravens 2 out of his last 3 games, and the Bills. I think if he wins, if he can surprise us, and there's no knock on the Steelers, he's just, man, the Bengals and Ravens are proven playoff teams. I think if he can surprise us with 2 wins of those, I think he'll make me look dumb and he'll change my mind. But let's just say a lot of people get paid a lot of money to look dumb on talk shows. So if he can make me look dumb, do it. If he can beat the Bengals and Ravens, he might even lock it. He probably won't take the division. He can put himself in a wild card spot with that team. But I have a hard time seeing him winning both those games against the Ravens and the Bengals.
All right, let's get to the Denver Broncos. They're also at 7-6 and currently the number 8 seed. Now it looks like you're going to think they're out. Tell us why you think they're out.
I don't think he gets that just for the fact he's got a really, really. it's Yeah, I just think they're out just for the strength of schedule. They've played really good the last 2 weeks. They beat a Titans team 52 to 35. John 52 points on Big Hurt. Man, that is an accomplishment. Big Hurt is a great player. He has been dominant with this Titans team. He beat my Colts 23-21. 2 big games really to. I think he's on a winning streak. 3 out of the last 4 games he's won. But he has the Chargers coming up next. Bill's been playing better. Even through his frustrations, he's playing better. But the Cardinals, fighting for their life in the NFC, are going to play a hell of a game over there. And Chiefs, unless Maniac just sits his starters, that's a really, really tough game. And I don't think Maniac will set his starters. He's got a chance to play for a bye game. So I just think his schedule is just a little too tough. Once again, if you can shock the world and win out, you have an outside chance in that wild card. He won't catch the Chiefs unless the Chiefs lose out. I don't see the Chiefs losing out. He has an outside chance at a wild card spot, but I just think his schedule is just a little too tough to overcome.
All right, let's talk about the last team on our list here. It seems like we're having a little audio issue, and I can't quite. You and I talked about this last show, I think. I don't know what happened or what's going on, but I keep getting topped out on your mic. I don't know. We'll figure it out another time. To say this team's out. Rob's had a tough season. Big Hurt, I should say. He goes, Rob.
You hear me? Yeah,
Please excuse the issues, guys. I'm totally not sure why we're having any issues at all because we shouldn't be. But something's up with Discord tonight, and it's giving us a hard time. So we were talking about the Tennessee Titans. Big Hurt's had a really rough season. Tell us why you think they're out.
once again, I think he's out. He does have the tiebreaker, if I'm not mistaken. He does not have tie. I'm corrected. Him and the Jaguars are 1-1 against each other. That's the only chance I gave him on the outside, in my opinion. There's no shot at Big Hurt. He's had 2 amazing seasons, probably better seasons than we thought he would have for the Titans, just because he was just walking to a team. He's really
Did we lose? Yeah. You there? I see you lighting up. Okay, we're gonna try something new real quick. We're gonna get out of this voice chat. I'm gonna dial in Dwayne real quick. I apologize greatly for this, guys. This has never happened with Discord, but the Discord voice chat is giving us a really hard time tonight. I think we got Dwayne back. You were talking about Rob. I don't know what the. It is.
All of a sudden, it just went crazy.
It is what it is, but we'll figure it out. Go ahead. Tell us about Big Rob or Big Hurt.
I just think I don't know where it left off at. I was just speaking of him moving over to that team.
Yeah.
I think that's a big jump for anybody, and he's really exceeded expectations with that team. He's played really, really good. We know what kind of player Big Hurt is, but this year he's kind of struggled, and honestly, he struggled on the defensive side of the ball. He just hadn't stopped many people. His offense is still playing really, really good, as you can tell. He averages 27 points a game, but he also gives up 27. And I also think a lot's going to be told on he plays the Giants, who are really uprising and just playing for their playoff lives. Outlaw, who was up on me 21-3 2 nights ago. I just want everybody to know that he was beating me 21-3. Outlaw's playing great football. Don't let the 3-10 record deceive you, or let his mouth deceive you. And then he's got the Bengals last game, and the Bengals last game are going to be fighting for their playoff hopes too, or at least playing for playoff seeding. That's going to be really tough. I just think the odds are just too great. I do think the Jaguars get in over him, and I think the Ravens get in. And I just think it's going to be a different offseason or postseason without Tennessee Titans in there. Because Big Hurt, man, he 6 seed through 1 seed. He can take it and he can win a championship. But I just don't think this year is it.
All right, let's hop over to the NFC, where it's not quite as cloudy, but there are definitely some new opportunities. One of the things that we'll talk about when we get to him, but the Seahawks have been gone for a couple of weeks here as he's out of the country on vacation, and that really changed the way the NFC has looked. But let's talk about the first team on our list here. The Arizona Cardinals are sitting at 9-4, currently the number 2 seed, but Seattle's still right there. You still got the 49ers right there, so that's why I put them on the list. Do you think the Arizona Cardinals are in, or are they out?
I think they're the division winner. They got the Rams, the Broncos, and Raiders on their way out. Those are really good teams, but the Cardinals are playing really great football, and he has just took advantage of the opportunity of Mo being gone. And I do think, now let's say this, now he has gave Mo more problems than anybody else has ever gave Mo. Mo versus Mo. Maybe it's his kryptonite. I don't know. But he has given Mo more problems than probably anybody else has. But I want to say that he's beat the Seahawks twice this season. I could be wrong, but he's got the tiebreaker. And if you don't have a tiebreaker, I know for a fact that it's at least a 1-1 split. I think he wins this division outright. I just think he wins at least 2 out of those last 3 games. Give him 11 wins. He'll be 11-5, and that would mean the other 2 teams would have to win out. And I just don't see it happening. I think the Cardinals win this division outright. He's just been playing great. He only gives up 22 points a game, scores 27. He plays really good user wherever he plays out on defense. I just think he wins this division outright.
Yeah, I've been so concentrated on trying to figure out these stupid technical difficulties. I didn't give any of my thoughts. I'm going to hop to the AFC really fast. I think Bengals are in. I think Jaguars are out. I think Ravens are in. And I think that the Tennessee Titans are going to sneak in there just barely. It's going to come down to a really tight game. I just think the Jaguars have a tough game here with Indianapolis. Tennessee may have a little bit easier road. Hopping back with you over here in the NFC, I do think that the Cardinals are going to win this division. The 49ers have a way uphill battle. Seattle being gone out of the country just kind of gives him that upper hand. So I agree with you. I think the Arizona Cardinals are in, and they're going to win this division. Now let's talk about my team. That's going to be tough. The 10-4 Saints at the number 5 seed, second year in a row where I've had double-digit wins, and I get either the 5th or 6th seed. What do you think? You think the New Orleans Saints are in, or are they out?
I do think the Saints are in. I think, like I said, you're a 10-4 team. You're 2 games up on the nearest team with you. I think if you get one more, you pretty much clinch it. I think you're in. I really don't even question that. 27 points for, 19 points against. You can't really ask for more. Take care of business at home. 4-2 on the road. Nothing to scoff at there. I'm not sure you can probably tell me right offhand who you got left this season, rather than me pulling it up. But,
Yeah, I've got. I just played the Bucks today, and I have Seattle, which I'm not sure if he's going to be back or not. And then I think I finish up with I have the Ravens, and then I have Seattle. So I've got two pretty tough games coming up if Seattle's going to be back.
Two tough games. That's what I was actually trying to pull up while you said that. I was trying to pull up the out of town thing to see when he comes back, because honestly, that's going to dictate a lot. If Mo comes back, this whole thing can really just change. But I do think you're a wild card team. I think you'll be the 5th seed. Like you said, it really sucks. You could be a 12-4 team, and you're going to be a wild card team. So that really is kind of disheartening. But that's kind of what you get when you get D Money and the Mo-like Falcons in that division.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Let's talk about our next team on the list, the San Francisco 49ers. He and I had a really epic instant classic game the other night. He's sitting at 8-5, the number 6 seed. Really battled this year. Are the San Francisco 49ers in or out?
This is the team I was torn on, just for the fact that I don't know what Mo. I'm trying to pull it up to see when Mo is going to be back. I got it almost pulled up. His last 3 games are. Hold on, I'm trying not to sneeze while I'm doing this too.
At least you hit the mute button, so
I am trying to mute it.
Johnny on the spot there.
He's got the Seahawks, the Chiefs, and the Rams left. You're talking about 3 tough games. The Rams are, just I hate to say it like that. They're like kind of the little boy in that division, just because he's a great player, and I think he'd be in a playoff run in any other division. But he's got 3 playoff caliber teams that just beat up on him in that division. He plays them tooth and nail, plays them really close, just can't get over that hump. I'm not mistaken. Where's the 5? I'm trying to see when Mo will be back. If Mo's back, I don't think the 49ers make the playoffs as a wild card team. I don't see it. And I just say that because I think that the Chiefs are still going to be playing for a spot. I think he probably is going to pull out a win against the Rams, as tough as game that will be. I think him and the Chiefs will come down to it, but the Chiefs are fighting for their life. If Mo is back, he could very well go 1-2 in these games. I know he plays Mo really, really well, but there's a big difference between playing Mo and playing Mo's computer. So if Mo is back, and I think I wish I had the money to go on as many vacations as Mo goes on.
just 1 or 2 of them. That guy goes on a lot.
I was trying to see. He is going to be back the 7th. He will be. I don't know if it'll be this week or not. It will not be this week, and I think that's who the 49. I think that's who they play this current weekend. If that's so, if he does play the Seahawks, let me see. Seahawks, no, he play them next week. Mo will be back. I hate to be like that. I hate to say that because I think way better of Cooley than that's going to sound. But I just don't think he makes it if he has to play the Seahawks. I think that Mo's going to come back with a vengeance and be like, these teams beat up my computer. Now I'm going to take it out on the whole league. So I don't think that game against the Seahawks is going to tail it off. If he beats the Seahawks, he's in. If he loses the Seahawks, he's out. That's the only way I can say it.
Nope, I think you're spot on. I actually think they're going to be in for the exact same reasons you think he's going to be out. I think Seattle may come back in enough time, but hold on 1 second. Sorry, kids are here and everything. What were we? I think Seattle will come back. He's going to be rusty. Cooley and San Francisco have already beat the Seattle Seahawks this season, so I think he can beat him again. He can definitely beat a rusty one. So I think the Seattle Seahawks, or we have San Francisco 49ers, I think they're going to be in, and they're going to get that last wild card spot, and it should be a really, really tight, close race, but I do think that they're in. That's going to move us to the number 7 Seattle Seahawks, which we've kind of both a little bit talked about. I think they're out. You think that they're in. They're sitting at 8-5. They've been gone for a little bit. Tell us what you're thinking there.
I just think the Seahawks. I can't remember how many weeks he's been gone, but I know he's took some punches these last few weeks. I know he's lost to the Chargers, lost to the Cardinals, lost to the Chiefs. He did beat the Panthers, but he's lost 3 out of the last 4 games. It's gonna be really tough. He's got you He's got the Rams. He's got the 49ers on the way out. He could very easily lose 2 of those games, especially if he's not back. If the Rams could dictate a lot this week. If the Rams beat his CPU team, put him at 8-6, and the 49ers win their current week, they'd be 9-5. Man, that puts a lot, especially going that last week. I'm still going to stick to my guns and say the Seahawks make it. I would not be surprised if 49ers take it, especially Cooley. He's a Cowboys fan. I'm really cheering for you here. And Mo, you're a Giants fan, so I'm not cheering for you here. I'm joking, Mo. I know we're buddies. But I do think the Seahawks do pull this out. I think they come back with a vengeance and probably just run through the playoffs and beat everybody by 30 points because everybody beat up his computer team.
Yeah, I hope I'm right and you're wrong because I need him to be rusty whenever I play him. But let's move to the last team on our list, the 8th seed New York Giants. They're on the outside looking in right now at 7-6, and they said it. They were in chat just a little while ago. Let me just say, I love all the chatting that's going on. I've been putting the chat up from time to time. That's the really great upside about us doing it at a time when people are on and around and they can chat. It's not late at night or early on a Saturday morning. Where we don't get quite as much activity, but it's really hard, as you can already see, because my family's here, and unfortunately I don't have a good place to go and to hide. So thank you guys all for chatting and being with us and interacting with us. But let's talk about the New York Giants. He was talking about he needs Seattle, San Francisco, and the Saints to lose out. Saints kind of dashed some of those hopes here tonight as they came over with a big victory against Tampa Bay. Tell us, what do you think? Are the New York Giants in or are they out?
I think he's out, and it's not because of valiant effort. He's 5-2 over his last 7 games. He just stumbled out of the gate and just had a hard time recovering. He almost beat me earlier this season. Pepper plays really great. He really is. Plays one of the best defenses you'll see here. And without Odell, I ain't gonna lie to you, I thought he kind of took it in, passing the ball. But he's really turned up his running game. He's ran the ball real well. He's put up an effort. It's just like I said, the NFC's so tough to get into the playoffs. The NFC South almost gives you 2 teams every season, and the NFC West is. If I was a bet man, I'd bet they give you 2 teams every season. So it kind of leaves everybody else just kind of out in the air. Maybe we could just take another NFC East team and just leave the North at home. Shots fired. I know that we don't have the big guns here firing back in from the North anymore.
Come on, you don't like a 6-7 team winning getting in the playoffs?
It's interesting. I've seen one 7-win team, and you remember what I'm talking about when Houday ran the playoffs at 7-9 and made the OMFL Bowl. It was a hell of a Cinderella story. Not many teams can run like that. No. Not many teams had the offense he had. He had a hell of a run, the Giants did. He really has pushed back. I think that game that he lost against the Jaguars really came back to bite him. If he'd have won that game, he'd be 8-4 right now. He'd really be in a spot to control his own destiny. But right now, like he said, he's got to rely on you. He's got to rely on Cooley. He's got to rely on Mo to all lose games. I just don't see y'all losing games. He could probably win out, and like I said, winning out would put him at 10-6, and he might not. I just don't see him making it. I would love to see Pepper go 10-6 and make the playoffs. I don't see it. He's got the Packers left, the Redskins left, Titans left. Titans are fighting for their playoff hopes. Redskins, I played him not too long ago. He plays a hell of a game. Really good owner. And then you got the Packers and Priest. You don't know what Priest you're going to get. I know he's 2-11 on the season. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. Just when you think Priest fixing to lay over and let you win, he drops 40 points with $40 million man. I just don't see it. I think he has had a hell of an effort, and I'll give him a lot of credit. We always said Pepper's biggest, obstacle was himself, and he's really got over himself this season and played really good football, especially in the second half. But I just don't see him making the playoffs.
No, I have to agree with you. It's good to see Pepper be a little excited about his team, start to get some wins under his belt. Someone needs to contend with the Dallas Cowboys. I agree with you as well. I think the Redskins next season are going to be right there in the heat. But I think he's out. They're a little bit too large of a hole to dig yourself out of. You're just not going to have, Seattle, San Francisco, and the Saints all lose out. I hate to be a squasher of dreams, but that one's just not going to happen. And that's kind of what we're thinking. That's what you and I are thinking for the playoffs as we roll here towards the end of season 84, currently in week number 15. So before we have another Press Pass Live, the playoffs will be here. And we may have to do just like a quick Press Pass Live for just some playoff predictions one night this week. Let's talk about a little draft preview, man. It's already started to come out. some people are starting to wonder and to question and to ask. And so let's talk about a little OMFL draft preview. And two kind of combined questions here that I'm going to throw out at you that I'd like to get some of your thoughts. And that's around, number one, when you draft, when you're thinking about your draft strategy, would you draft best player available, or are you picking for need? And then with that strategy in mind and thinking about our draft, which is really, really good, who are you taking, number one, in OMFL draft number 85?
Well, I'm always, I like to say always, I don't draft just particularly well, but I do try to go for best available player. I've never put 100% of my stock in a quarterback. I know a lot of teams here will pay out the ass to have a great quarterback. It's extra for me to have a really good quarterback, and I really enjoyed this.
You've let two really good ones walk.
I have really good ones walk with plans to have somebody else coming in. I can't completely say that I abandoned my quarterback spot. I did go with a kind of a Cam Newton, who was kind of on a little bit of a downfall with the Panthers. He wasn't very happy with him, and then the Redskins weren't very happy with him. So I got him in a trade from the Redskins. So I don't put a whole lot of stock in that skill position per se. I do want to take the best available player, but it all depends. Like I said, on my roster, I won't take the best available if I'm just like loaded at that position. But I will try to take the best available player that fits my team the best. If I was picking, I'm not gonna lie. If I was picking first overall, I wouldn't pick who y'all would expect. It honestly comes down to Nick Bosa and Quentin Williams, and that would have to be Quentin Williams. I want that big defensive tackle in the middle. There's nothing more frustrating than getting run up the gut on, and I know people tell me that all the time. Dakota, you are a hypocrite because you like to run up the middle on people. I like to do it because I hate it done on me, and I know how devastating it is to be ran on and you can't stop the run. And then when you can't stop the run, you get frustrated and you start blitzing. You start bringing more people up, and then you turn the tables and burn them a few times, and the game's over with. I'm a big defensive line guy, and it was tough between him and Bosa and Williams. Williams is such a big body and such a just disruptive force in the middle. That's who I'd go with to pick one. And I know that's probably not who you. I know for a fact that's probably not who you pick or most people would pick. But I just love that big hog molly in the middle that just clogs that lane up.
Yeah, I pick for need. Now I do best. So I say that. That's probably my mindset. I'm picking to fill needs. I'm picking,
right.
And when I say to fill needs, I'm not just talking about the needs of my current team. So this past season, I understood that my defense was starting to age. I was starting to get some much older linebackers. My defensive backs were getting much older, and so I went very linebacker, safety, cornerback, went very, very heavy on those positions because I knew that my need the following season was going to be that those aging guys were going to need to be let go, and I was going to need to have some youth to put in there. So I always go for drafting by need, but thinking not only the immediate needs, but the needs for the future. The first couple of drafts, I knew that my offensive line was just underrated, and so I drafted almost all offensive line for the first couple of picks for the first couple of drafts, and it's really paid off. I have an offensive line that's 85 across the board, except for one player, and he's almost to 80 now. And so really, I go drafting for need. That's just kind of how I think. And now if I was the Falcons, if I was the Colts, I lost 2 games every season, I'd probably go more best player available. But that makes for an interesting conversation, because if I am drafting number 1 overall in this league, then there's a very high chance that I have a quarterback problem, right? And I know that's where you thought I would go. And this draft is loaded at quarterback. I actually would not go quarterback number 1 because I think you can get a quarterback later in round 1. I think you can get a quarterback in round 2, or even maybe, possibly, not in the OMFL, but maybe round 3. I think in the OMFL, most will be going by round 2. I actually would go the same way as you went. I would go defensive line. I'd probably go Bosa. I personally love having that edge rusher come off of the edge there. We have adjusted our sliders some to allow for some more sacks. And if you have a absolute stud that's strong and fast and can get off of blocks, that's the place to put them. That's the place I would go. I'd go defensive line, and I would try to find that edge pass rusher that can come off of the edge and put some pressure on the quarterback pretty quickly. I do like the defensive tackle route that you went. And I think that there are some other playmakers in this draft. I think there'll be some good running backs. I think you're going to see some good cornerbacks. It should be a really, really good draft overall. If you're looking to make that leap, if you're the Rams, if you're the Texans, if you're the Browns, maybe you've had a couple of really nice drafts and have teetered around that 500 area, this draft could put you over the top. And on that same note, and we're going to talk about it because I've already seen one guy put that in as a question. For those of you who gave away picks to the Falcons, to the Seahawks, to these really top tier teams, man, you really did the league a disfavor, because those teams that are already over the top are going to be more over the top with this draft, because this draft is absolutely loaded. And that's a really good transition to get us where we're going to be now, and that's our owner submitted questions, and we got a handful of them here tonight. So let's start running through some of these as we start to find a landing strip here for the show. Outlaw says, May 2nd, EA released details on Madden 20 franchise mode. Some of the details are the following. A ratings spread where 90 and 89 overall is now a much larger difference, and yet you're going to see some 50 overall starters. They really revamped the overall a whole lot, which I've always said overall really doesn't mean a whole lot, and I've heard from development guys that it never has. It's all the other ones that matter. New development traits, including the X Factor. You talked about that a little bit. Some of those will be hidden. New scenarios where you're going to have players who will demand trades, demand to be cut, not sign their contracts, that type of thing. Progression overhaul. I hope that they haven't absolutely overhauled it, because I did love what they started this year, and I hope it continues. Realistic contracts, draft changes, and he says my glaring issue is the X Factor and zone features. However, what are some of your thoughts on the franchise news? And we talked about it a little bit with Bloop when he was on the show with us here, but what have you heard? Did you get to watch the video, and what are your initial thoughts?
I have not got to watch the video. I am intrigued to see that that kind of overall people will be starting on people's teams, and just a few things I've heard of. I do like the dynamic personalities until my superstar guy wants to leave the team and won't accept anything else. Then I won't like it anymore. But I do think at least a little bit of effort is there to make it interesting. Like I said, I haven't watched the video myself, so I'm not going to lie to you and try to give you too much just random knowledge. But I am intrigued at a few of those things. I do like the overall aspect that you're talking about. I don't know about 50 overall guys, but I know that we have some teams here that are 85 and 90 on everybody's all your spots, and realistically, most teams don't. Most teams have a lot of kind of open air positions, and just like I just spoke about the dynamic personalities, I'm really excited about that to an extent. We've always talked about we like to make free agency more exciting. We like diversity. And I do think, you run into a team, and I know Mo probably gets sick of people using his team as an example. That's what you get when you're he's actually a 5-time champion, but 4 back-to-backs. His team right there was, you had guys who were 90-something overall backing up other guys. And realistically, I don't think you would have superstar guys backing up superstar guys. Those type of guys might say they're leaving after this year, they're not signing, they're blah, blah, blah. And I think you might end up with more diversity in the league that way. And I think you would see a lot more interesting free agency. We had some I think the very first free agency of this Madden was kind of, hit and miss. Didn't have a whole lot there. A lot of people overpaid for guys that weren't worth what they paid for. And then as the free agency went on, our free agencies got better and better and better. And our free agency period is probably one of the most interesting, fun, cutthroat. I say cutthroat in a playful way, because I've seen people get upset. No, let's just say I've seen people get upset, but it is very tedious time. You want to be sitting at home on your thing. You don't want to be sitting at work like I am sometimes and just know that somebody just outbid me for a guy I wanted. So I am interested to see if that adds more diversity to the league, and for guys that keep trading. Nobody ever trades me a first-round pick. Now, I like to trade established guys away. Everybody knows I like older established players. So I'm never in the market to get first-round picks. But guys, you just got to look at some guys are new here. Some guys aren't new that have traded picks to people. And I get some teams trade stuff like that because they think they're fixed to make that next leap if they trade and get a player. I don't know if football's that sport where you can trade for one guy and automatically become a contender. I think football is one where you have 7 rounds of picks for, and you have a lot of spots to fill. And for most teams, I can't speak for everybody. Mo could probably take a 70 overall team and still win a lot of games. So could D Money. Colin could win with most teams. I can't. I had a conversation with him the other night asking him what's wrong with his season. He said he can't get in a groove. But we know that Colin is won with a lot of teams. Players like that, and then there's other players that can win like that. But given somebody like Mo, I think Mo has, I don't know if he has 1 or 2. I know the Falcons might have 2 picks this next draft. Yeah. This next draft's going to be established, really good guys. So if y'all were expecting next season to be different, I don't think it's going to be any different. All you're going to see is a Mo here for probably a whole 17 weeks, unless he goes to Italy or France or somewhere like that. And then you'll have D Money winning more games again. I think that's what you run into, and I wish guys are really thinking about that. Now I say that, and I trade my first round pick quite a bit. Hopefully, I hope that when they get my first round pick, that it's not very high. That's what people tell me. One of these days, I'm just gonna tank on you. I'm gonna go straight D money. I couldn't do it. I can't even lie to y'all. But yes, you got to be careful trading with some of these guys. You got to watch Mo. Mo is the best salesman. If I ever start a job or a business, Mo is gonna be the first guy I hire. Just so y'all know that. And D Money right behind him. But I am interested to see the video. I'm going to have to watch the video myself. I haven't watched it. I've really, really let you down on that one because I can't bring a lot to the table. So I just rambled on for 5 minutes.
No, look, I think that there's definitely some really good aspects of some stuff that they've talked about. Some things that intrigue me, right? Some things that it's like, oh, okay, like that seems really interesting. Let's see what they can do with that or what they're going to do with that. The X Factor stuff. That I know, he pronouns pal, Outlaw had spoken about. That doesn't bother me a ton, only because they had that a few Maddens ago. I thought it was kind of a neat concept, as long as it's not too overpowered. And that's always my biggest knee-jerk reaction is this stuff going to be way overpowered? And you just don't know. Until you get the game in the hand. You're not sure if this stuff's going to be really overpowered because it is their newest gimmick that they've added. And is it just going to be too much for us to have to govern and to manage and to mess with? So I would say I'm interested in it. There's a lot, at least it seems like they're showing the franchise some love, which is a really good thing because I feel like we haven't got any love in quite some time. And I think there's definitely some potential there. Of some really neat stuff that can happen. And now we just got to get the game in hand. And once we get the game in hand, we can then get a better idea. Let's go down to Outlaw's next question. He said, who are a few underrated teams in the OMFL? And I guess there's a 2-part. My vote is, I think he's trying to say, is he crazy for picking the Rams as his most underrated team? Who's your most underrated team in the OMFL?
I do want to give the Rams some credit there. The Rams, like I said earlier, have played as good as you can in that division. I mean, you just look at that division, the Cardinals, 49ers, Seahawks, 3 just established teams. Cooley's going to be more established the longer he's here. Man, you're just in a really, really tough division. And I know some people say, well, the Rams were really good out of the box. But the Rams were in they were in a dire cap situation out of the box, too. You got to take all that into account when you look at the Rams. I think he did as good as he could with that thing. He competes in that division. He don't get blown. You can see his 4 points against 20-26. He's not getting blown out by teams. He's in all these games. But if I had to talk about an underrated team, honestly, I would have to. I'm looking at some teams here because there's a couple teams that could fall in that thing. I hate to choose your Saints are underrated. I think a lot of teams just think the Falcons in that NFC South and that's it. If you go over, I think the Dolphins at 11-3. I think Kevin's underrated. I know we kind of, Kevin had a really down year last year, but I think he's one of the teams when people talk about contenders and people in the thing. I haven't heard Kevin's name brought up a lot, and I'll tell you from experience, Kevin's a hell of a player, and in any given game, Kevin can win. But I will give one team that's underrated, and it's probably gonna feed right into his fuel that he needs. And I think Nate, you might really chastise me for this one. Just get ready. Once you prepare yourself, and I think it's the Chiefs. I think he's tried his best to slide on the radar all year. He wants us to all think he sucks. Most of us don't believe him, and I'm sure he's listening right now. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure Bill's rolling over in the chat right now at this because he even said something about him the other day about him trying to make us play that he's not very good, but he's 10-3. He hasn't did real great on offense this year. He's a really grinder. He's really taken the grind out, offense to another level. He's only averaging 21 points a game. But he's only giving up 19. He's right there in every game. I like to say he kind of plays football like I want to play it. He wants to keep a low scoring game. He wants to run with Derrick Henry. He's none of his stats are super flashy, but he wins games. And I tell people all the time that's what matters. No matter how ugly you win games, as long as you're winning games, you're winning games.
Yep.
I mean, and especially when it comes to playoff time, these teams they're scoring 40 points a game. You're not going to score 40 points in the playoffs. It's just the playoffs, a whole different world. It's a grinded out, and I think he's built for the playoffs, and I think he's been very underrated. And I think the only reason he's not more underrated is because he tries to bring attention to his team of that he's not very good when we all know he's 10-3 and winning that really tough AFC West division.
Yeah, when I think of underrated teams, my mind immediately goes to, I don't think the Chiefs. I mean, he's a double-digit win team. That's not underrated. My mind goes to the Cleveland Browns, who I think will always kind of teeter because of his work, his real-life work, and travel, and just makes it really tough. My mind would also go to the Tampa Bay Bucks. He and I got to play together. He's another one of those guys that had some little things to work on when he first got here, but is straight as an arrow with his FPR now. It's kind of, I always feel a little bad when I see a team winning and then they have bad FPR. They make all the adjustments, but then they start losing. I hope it's not because they kind of rubber band to the opposite way. But his game was super FPR, and I had a lot of fun playing with him today. But I think I'm going to pick the Washington Redskins. They're going to be my most underrated team. I played him a couple different times, and man, he is super tough, extremely difficult to beat, has a really great running game, can pass the ball on you, will cause you to make bad plays on defense. I think if he has a very solid draft this year with a draft that's pretty loaded, he's going to be the team that can really contend next year and finally push the Cowboys. The Cowboys haven't really had anyone to push him in a while, and I think that some of that has caused him to maybe take a slight step back. Not because he's bad or not playing well, but just the competition level hasn't really been there. So the Washington Redskins would be the team that I would go with. Let's see the next one. D-Money, he submitted a question. He says, with free agency and trades and the draft, Nashville, woohoo, now done. He was over in Nashville and got to go to the draft live. He says, what is a team that you'd like to have next release if you couldn't have your current team? That's a pretty good question. If you couldn't have the Colts, now you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, so that's probably a little unfair of a question. It's going to be much harder for me to answer because I'm a Saints fan. But if you couldn't have your Colts, and I'm going to go ahead and take your Cowboys off the table,
Right.
Who would you go with?
That is really tough. I watched it, especially. I think I missed like the first 10 picks. Kept up with it on my phone. Watched the rest of the draft. I'll tell you a team that really intrigues me. It would honestly be the Raiders. I think the Raiders had a couple of good picks. They had like 6 picks in the top 2 rounds. I think it would be a team I'd like. I think they have a good amount of cap. They have a really clean slate with what Gruden's did to them in real life. They really have a real clean slate of build to go ahead. I think they'd be an interesting team to see. You have a lot of youth there. You have an established quarterback there. I just think that if you want a team to shape yourself, and I love shaping a team my own way. The Colts look nothing in the OMFL like to do in real life. Aside from a few players, I would love to have the Raiders. I like that black and silver. Even though they're going to be Vegas pretty soon, I do think they would be really interesting to have just for the youth side. They have a quarterback who might or might not be there, but he is an established quarterback, and you have a lot of cap. I think that would be a really fun team to contend with, but I would not want to be in the AFC West. That division is just bloodthirsty, cutthroat. They just beat each other up, and I don't want Maniac being mad at me twice a season.
That's a good one. I am going to take the low-hanging fruit. mainly because they have a ton of my LSU boys over there. I would go with the Cleveland Browns. You got the quarterback, you've got the running back, you've got the receivers, you've got some playmakers on defense. There's a lot there to get excited about, but for me, I'm an LSU fan, and they have a lot of LSU boys over there, and they have a lot of playmakers on offense. I mean, you really wouldn't have to do much. Maybe build that offensive line just a little bit, but I think even there they're going to be pretty set. And then anytime you can take over a team and know actually one side of my team is completely taken care of, and I can really just concentrate all my efforts into the other side of the ball, that's exciting. And I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be a fun team to have. Usually, Chaotix and I swap teams every other Madden because we're both Saints fans, and I don't like to be a hog, so I give the Saints up every other Madden. But I think he's already kind of put his stick in the ground that he likes the Browns too much with these recent moves and trades and everything that they've been doing, that he's actually not going to give the Browns up. But if I could not have any other team, I definitely would go with the Cleveland Browns, which I know would be a pretty popular choice just because they're pretty loaded. And they've got some really fun players to have over there on their team. But for me, it would be to play with some of those LSU Tigers again. Mr. Smash has got one. He says, what do you guys think about the early Madden 20 NFL franchise news? I'll give you credit for that, Smash, but we did talk about that with Maniac's question. So I'll give you credit because technically we talked about it. But let's take your second one. He says, why do teams that are always picking in the top 10 in the draft trade away those picks to top teams? And we talked about that a little bit. It is something that has driven
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh,
It
what?
went just black for like 2 minutes.
It did. I don't know what happened. So, give me one quick sec. I think I noticed that there is a problem. Oh, there it goes. Something's up with Discord. My Discord has been creeping out all day long. When I was on Discord earlier today, it took an hour to load. I literally couldn't get on Discord on mobile or the web, and it's freaking out. And I guess I just noticed that I had no audio there. Anyway, what I was saying, we were talking about teams that are not fully developed, trading away their top draft picks. I think my input is that it happens a lot because teams are good salespeople. The D-Moneys, the Falcons, the Moes, the Seahawks, those are really good salespeople. They offer you really great stuff that not only works in the trade calculator but looks very appealing. I think guys just have to kind of make up their mind that, hey, even though this may help my team, giving up this first-round draft pick to a team that has won multiple Super Bowls, that is deep in the playoffs every single year, is not good for the balance of the league. And so I'm not going to do this for my team. I'm not going to do this for the league. And I think that's the change that I think I would like to see happen. I I definitely would like to see guys just be smarter with those picks, and realize, hey, I'm actually not helping anyone out here. I'm not helping the league out. I'm not helping my team out by giving a top tier team in this league a high draft pick, or even just a second first round draft pick. I don't understand why teams do it. It drives me insane. I don't know where I cut off a while ago. We're thinking about some rules to protect teams from doing that. But then again, I hate handicapping teams. I hate doing that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts about the whole scenario? I know it drives me insane.
I think teams in that position are, especially teams that have multiple losing seasons, they're looking for anything they can to get out of that position. And I think a lot of people, like I said earlier, think that they're one move away, two moves away. And I think you got to look at the bigger picture there, especially, speaking for myself, if you're not as good as somebody else is on the sticks, you got to have a better team around you. Some of these guys um, don't need as much of a team as other guys do. But then you give somebody like, Mo just might as well get used to it. You see somebody like Mo, and he has a 92 overall team, and he's great on the sticks. You just make an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
I think they just fall for, like you said, they fall for the trade bait. They fall for like somebody telling them, well, I'll give you these 280 overall linemen that are great, or they're young with potential. Well, I think you got to look at, in my position, you got to look at it as those two guys or that one guy might help you. Honestly, they might help you, but you got to look at what you're giving a powerhouse team. You're giving them a first round pick. You're giving them a young, solid player. D Money and Mo, and I know he hated on his last draft. Mo's usually a good drafter, at least quality or quantity over quality. And if you give him 10 picks, he's going to hit on a few of them. But these guys can get a real young guy that's quick dev or star dev on a cheap 4-year deal, and then they can, like Mo will put all these veterans around these young players, and then he's got such a dynamic team that he can reset every 2 to 3 years. I think that teams, like I said, they just fall for that. We're a trade or two away from being a contender, and I think you got to look at. I know we've ran into it now, at least for two Maddens. Some teams they're just better salesmen than others. I will tell Mo that Mo negotiates, and when Mo negotiates, it's his way or the highway. And to me and Mo can talk trades and go our separate ways. It just won't work out. We're just not going to do it. I think some guys cave. I think some guys give in to their demands rather than vice versa. And I think you got to look at the betterment of the league and the betterment of your team. If you're not doing real great, man, hey, get you that top 5 pick and get you a star quarterback, get you a star defensive tackle, get you a star 96 receiver like Nixon. Get somebody like that that's on a cheap 4-year deal and build from that aspect.
Yep, it's tough, and I wish teams would be a little bit smarter with how they do that, because it really has shifted some of the power in our league. All right, Smash got a last one. Here we go. With the will the Rams, Browns, Packers finally put together next season and make the playoffs? Browns loaded with talent. Packers went out and got talent a couple seasons ago and have been drafting in the top 10 for a couple years. The Rams, Nate's favorite underdog, looks like they are finally putting it together. So he's talking about these 3 teams in particular: Rams, Browns, Packers. Do you think any, all, or some of those teams make the playoffs next season?
Say those teams again, Nate. I know you said the Rams,
Browns,
Packers.
Rams, Packers.
Honestly, I have a hard time. Sorry, I'll put some in the chat. I'm sorry. I honestly, I see the Rams. I have a hard time. I know that Crazy B, man, he's a great player, a great person to have here. He's a great owner to have in the thing. He's just uphill climb every season. I don't think he's far off, but then you have 3 teams in that division, especially you got 2 teams that have both been in OMFL Bowls. One of them that's won 5 OMFL championships, and Cooley, who has proved victorious everywhere he's been. And then you go to the Packers. Packers have the best chance out of all of them to make the playoffs just because the North is the North. I think the North's the North. I think it's up in the air, honestly. I honestly thought Tim would go over there and dominate. I think Smash is a great owner. Smash has always been a solid. You knew what you were going to get with Smash. I think he's always in that playoff hunt. He just never took that next step to be a 11, 12 win team. I think DB Noel, I think he's a great owner. Another one, but he's always kind of, even when he starts hot, he stayed between that 7 and 9, 7-10 win team. I think the Packers, though, with the way the North's playing out right now, I think the Packers have a good chance if he'll cut down his cut down his interceptions, run the ball like he did with DeMarcus Good last Madden, I think he can win games because Priest is another one. He's his own worst enemy. When in doubt, throw the ball. When in doubt, use Rodgers' arm, and that can be such a detriment to your team when you throw the ball away like that. And with Chaotix and the Browns, our team, I think last year he lost. He missed playoffs by a game. That division's just gotten better. The Ravens have gotten better. The Steelers have proven that they're a better team. And then you got Cincy. I think that that division right there just beats each other. They're like the opposite spectrum of the North. That they beat each other up, but they're a 8 to 10 win and beat each other up. And I have a hard time betting against Cincy in that division every year. And like I said, with the way the Ravens and Steelers are playing, Chaotix has to play near perfect during the year because you can't afford to fall behind in that division. And I just have a hard time. I think if honestly, if I had to go with the ranking, I think the Packers have the best chance. The Browns are your backup one. I think they have an outside chance in that division because they do play so close. And Chaotix is such a good defensive team that he keeps himself in the games. If he can ever get it figured out on the offensive side of the ball, which we've seen him have spurts of, he can make the playoffs. But I'm going to Packers, them, and then the Rams. Crazy Beeman's just in a tough spot, man. It's just honestly, you got 3 playoff teams in there. You're playing really good football, but it's just, man, you're gonna have to grind it out every week and just hope that those guys ahead of you stumble a little bit to make the playoffs in that division.
Yeah, I mean, look, even if the Rams drastically improve their game, let's just say they go out and they can add 2, 3 more wins, which is a pretty big jump for any team here. I mean, look, you hit the nail on the head. You're still dealing with teams that have been in multiple Super Bowls in this league and won multiple Super Bowls. And the Seahawks are there every single year. I mean, they're constantly in the heat, in the hunt, looking to make a run. And then the Cards have just gotten better and better, and now Cooley's there. That's a tough sell for anybody. For me, really the team, I love what you said. It's something I didn't think about with the Packers, and I think you hit the nail on the head with them. They're right there because of that division. Because Tim has struggled. 00's playing basically with one hand. Smash has given up on this season. The Packers have that opportunity. I think his GMing decisions have held him back, and he's not able to draft, teams or players that will come and be long-term starters on this team have hurt him. My pick would be the Browns. I know that Cincyberg has been tough. I know that he and Chaotix have had some good go-arounds, some back and forths, and I know that has been the toughest challenge for him. But that is the division that is there for his taking if he can just make a couple of better decisions with his moves. I think he's drafted really well. I think last season's draft, I should say, was exceptionally well for the Browns. He's going to have another opportunity here to go and make another run for it and possibly come out on top with some really great players in a very loaded draft. So for me, it would be the Cleveland Browns. I think that they have the highest chance to make the playoffs next year out of those 3 teams. And that's going to be it. That's going to bring us to the end of our show. So let's put a bow on it. Give me some closing thoughts. We're here in week 15. We laid out who we think is going to make the playoffs, who's not going to make the playoffs. We've laid out what we see in the draft. We've talked a lot of Madden 20 here today and some just real interesting questions about what we see happening in the last season or two. So give me some closing thoughts and put a bow on the show.
Well, I think we're still going strong. I think I'm not taking a shot at any other leagues. I know that everybody wants to be going at this point, but I do think it speaks volumes. The OMFL just keeps chugging along. I mean, we're like I said, we're going to our was this the 5th season this Madden?
Yeah.
And we're planning on getting one more. And everybody's been pretty active. I know it is summertime. The guy's taking vacations. Not as many vacations as Mo. But everybody's kind of going on vacation. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing right now. But we have kept up steady. We hadn't had many scheduling, arguments. We've had a few hiccups here and there, but for the most part, everybody's been pretty good. Just a reminder on that, I know we've kind of touched on the last week or so that guys do need to post all of that your valuable times for 3 days within the first 24 hours. I get that you come to an agreement and we just post the agreement time. But then when that agreement time doesn't get met, then we're kind of up in limbo like, okay, what was everybody's times? What were their valuable? Who gets to see them play? Who gets to play? What happens? Guys, if you can, to make it easy on Kevin and to make build not just explode on y'all, please, within 24 hours, post your next 3 days available times if you can. If you can. I understand crazy work schedules. I, for one, know how the crazy work schedule goes. But just please try to post your times within that 24 hours so we don't have any disagreements at all. I know it's not that hard within 24 hours just to post your times. It takes a few minutes. Post at least close to your times for the next 3 days. I think we wouldn't have any hiccups at all. I think that would eliminate a lot of them. And FPR wise, I think we did pretty well. I know we're kind of backed up right now with some FPR videos. I do think teams have gotten better, but guys, remember when you submit your FPR, your form, you need to put. You don't need to be vague. I guess that's one way to say it. Don't be vague. Put timestamps. If Fletching does do this, timestamps, because we're gonna get to the point. If you don't have timestamps, we're gonna be able to watch them. Especially we're kind of dwindling down. We don't have what I think 5 board members left.
No, and I can also say before I hand them off to be watched, I've been sending them back to the owner and saying, you got to go get me timestamps and you got to go get me numbers. And if you don't, then evidently you don't want to help us, and I don't send it off to be watched because I am just killing people. You mainly.
There he is. Hello.
Am I back? There we go. Now I'm back. Hello.
Yes.
There we go. I have no clue what's going on. This thing is going crazy. I'm going crazy. It's driving me insane now, and I'm about to lose my mind. So what I was saying was, like, I don't even, if the owners are not giving me the numbers and the feedback that I need, I don't even send it. If I see something that needs to be watched, I send it right back to them because I'm killing Dwayne and Mo and Bill and just too many films. So yeah, I'm kind of force feeding guys to do that. And I apologize tonight, guys. I have no clue what's up with my Discord. I have no clue. Something that some technical demons are fighting us tonight, but we'll make sure that we try to get them fixed as much as we can for the next show. My closing thoughts that I'll kind of put on here as I kind of wrap up the show. I'm going to put the chat on. Thank you guys again for being with us and for just engaging with us. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. We've had almost a 2-hour show here tonight because of the technical difficulties and other things that have happened, and that's just way too long. But I'm going to wrap up the show with we are going to be making some changes to FPR, around warnings, around FPR. We're going to ask around scheduling that you guys do what Dwayne said and post all of your availability because it helps us in the long term. The FPR changes are going to be around if you have 4 films that have to be watched on you in a season, then you're going to be up for a boot vote. If you get passed, then you get passed, and every watched film after that you will be put up each and every time. We just have to do something to kind of get guys to start helping us play a little bit better, a little bit cleaner. My just other closing thoughts are the summer's here, and we know that vacations are happening. Please do your best to stay engaged, post your availability, play your games, and do your part. We'll continue to do our part. Still looking for somebody to do Game of the Week again since I can no longer do that. Though then again, now that I'm not doing the WWE League, unless that doesn't come back, Maybe I can start doing it. But look, we're always looking for new ways for owners to come and to engage with us. So come do that and engage with us and by doing some content and doing something unique for the league and the community. I have some new hot seats out there, so go make sure you read those. Those are all over the website. And I'm really looking forward to the next offseason. I think this draft is going to be unique, it's going to be strong, and it should be something that everyone enjoys. Let me tell you where you can find us here in the OMFL in particular. You can find us at daddyleagues.com/OMFL. That's our Daddy Leagues page. You can also find us on our website, grownfolksoc.com. All the really great content that's out there. I usually always push the WWE League right here, but again, unfortunately, we had to close that down. I do have hopes that it comes back one day, but the only way it's going to come back is if I can get some more help. And so you can also find us on Twitter, Grown Folks OC on Twitter. Go give us a like, a subscribe. We'll follow you right back. We don't really have any rules around that. If you follow us, we'll follow you. I don't really care. We'll share the love. And then twitch.tv/grownfolksoc. We also stream a bunch of other people's games. I stream a bunch of games, so there's tons and tons of content. Currently 76 videos on there, and they delete, I think, every 2 months or something like that. So tons of good stuff. Earlier today, we were hosting Bill as the Chargers played, I think, Miami and Kevin, and that was a really good game. And then our YouTube page, youtube.com/C/grownfolks online community. You can go see all of our playlists, all of our videos, just tons of really, really good stuff that's up there that you guys can go and follow and look and watch. I think that you'll enjoy it, and there's just really good stuff. Let me talk about our partners, daddyleagues.com. If you have a Madden CFM, this is a must-have. You must have this. It is required if you're going to be successful. So you should go out there and you should be creating you a Daddy Leagues page. I'm going to try to pump out some reviews of the latest Madden 20 news that we've had lately. I try to get some new articles out. I haven't done anything in a while because it's just been a tough Madden. The last 2 Maddens have been pretty tough. So I'm going to try to pump out some articles for him and check that out. So make sure you support daddyleagues.com. Follow him on Twitter at Daddy Leagues, and he'll give you a follow right back. League Crawler, leaguecrawler.com. This can be used for NBA 2K, The Show, Fortnite, PUBG, WWE, and of course its mainstay Madden. This is just one of the nicest guys that you could ever meet. League Crawler's such a great idea. You can rate owners, you can rate leagues. He hands out awards. If you're in the OMFL, I am begging you, please go get a League Crawler and give us a follow. A vote, a rating. So that we can make sure that we get our rating as high as we can, and leave us a comment on our page. It's just a really great website. You should be using it at every opportunity that you can. If you're looking for a league, if you're looking for an owner, this is the place that you should be going. Then, of course, our buddies over at Soden Bowl, sodenbowl.com. They're our Xbox partners. If you're an Xbox player and you're looking for a really great league, Soden Bowl is the place to go. They've been around since 2009. You can even check out last week, or maybe it was I think it was last week's Press Pass Live. Not last week's, but the last Press Pass Live that we did. We did an interview with Soden. Really great people, really great guys. They're doing some really amazing stuff over there in the Xbox community. So make sure that you give them a subscribe on their channels, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And then if you're looking for an Xbox league, make sure you go over there and check them out. And then finally, our last partner, overtimeheroics.com. They've got a website now. It's flashy. It's new. This pretty new logo that I told him, he was like, you got to go get a new logo. He did that. It's awesome. I love it. Overtimeheroics.com. Make sure you subscribe to their forum and go talk some sports over there. This is kind of where we point everybody to. We did a giveaway with them last OMFL Bowl, gave away a $25 gift certificate to our buddy Mr. Jason, who was actually in the OMFL Bowl, but he also won him a $25 PSN card. So congratulations to him again. But that's what our buddies over at Overtime Heroics do. If you love sports, you need to be over there and talking sports with us. There's a gaming section. There's NFL, there's baseball, there's basketball, there's hockey, there's everything that you could want. OvertimeHeroics.com. Make sure that you go over there and give them a follow and participate with us. And that's going to bring us to the end of our show, a 2-hour show. It's been crazy. All these crazy technical difficulties that we've been fighting. We'll try to get them figured out for next time. I think it's just been Discord has been acting up on my end for some reason. We did have some really terrible storms roll through earlier today, and I don't know if that's caused some issues in my audio, but hopefully they'll be fixed for next time. So for D-Wayne, for Maniac, who we missed tonight, but we did see him in chat, for all the leadership here in the OMFL, thank you so much for watching the show tonight. And until next time, have a blessed week. God bless you. Peace.
Later, guys.